So in this tutorial, we're going to talk about the use of groups in your course. They are popular to be used when quite often blended teacher is teaching a number of blocks of a course. Rather than having 3 different courses, they may just have one course and group their students by block A, B, and C or whatever. Also popular if you have a few teachers that are working together in a course and they have their own group of students that they want to group together. So for either of these purposes, using the group feature in Moodle is quite handy. A couple of the most common uses of using groups. Number one is from a marking point of view. If we head into mark an assignment, rather than having, say you have 3 blocks and each block had 25 students in it, rather than having all those students together, you may have different deadlines for different ones, or sometimes one teacher is marking their group of students and another. So if you go in to do the marking, you can go right here and choose which block you want to focus on, or you can go to all participants if you want, but going right here and entering that, or even when you're ready to do the marking, you can choose your groups up here as well. And that allows you to just kind of differentiate those groups if there's any reason to from a marking point of view. Another popular one use for groups is just sending out messages. Sometimes you want to talk to a particular group. It could be that particular teacher wanting to talk to their own group, or you may be talking about a deadline or a test coming up to your block A, and it's only really applicable that date to block A. So if you head into your participant list where you can send messages quite easily, right up at the top here, first thing you can do is you can just say group, group, and there's all the groups that you have set up, and you get to choose one. And then you can go to the bottom and say select all and send a message to only that group without having to go and try and check them off. Again, there are a lot of other things you can do with groups. You can make group-specific assignments and stuff like that. That gets into a little bit more complication with adjusting gradebooks and so on. But there are a lot of things you can do with groups, but those are quite often the most popular things to do with them. To set up groups, should you want to do this with your course, what you would do is you would go into your course and then you would go into the edit settings. So we can just go over here, edit settings, and then we just go down here and find the group bit. And really the main thing that you need is just group mode. Whether you choose it as visible or separate, visible is quite common. And now you are able to deal with groups. Your second step is, now that you have the group mode on, is you can make your groups. So you would just, under course administration, users, groups. And in this particular example, there are 3 groups that were set up. You can see 20 students in the first, 16 and 12. To create a group, in other words, by default, your course would not have groups. You just come down here and create a group, whether you're calling that block A and block B, or Mrs. Cooper's class, or whatever you want to call it. And then once you've created a group, then you can select it up here and go down and add or remove users and differentiate all of your students or categorize them into those groups. Now, you can be fancy with groups as far as if you know ahead of time that you have groups coming in and you're using an enrollment key to allow your students into the course, you can actually use that enrollment key to control who goes into what group. So if you want to be a little fancier about it, and if you're dealing with 50 students, whether you do it manual or you do it with the enrollment key, probably here nor there. If you're dealing with more, yeah, I would start leaning towards the enrollment key method. So let's go under users, enrollment methods, and up it comes. So I've already made a video talking about how you set up enrollment keys and stuff like that. So as far as making the enrollment keys, you already know how to do that. There's your enrollment key. but you can set it up so that you have different self-enrollments. So you can have multiple self-enrollments and each one with its own enrollment key. And so you can use group enrollment keys and you just say yes here. And then you were able to assign a particular enrollment key to a group. So then that way when they use, you could say, I want you to sign in using the enrollment key called Cooper dash block A. And that will automatically put them into the group called block A. And so anyways, that's something to use if you have quite a few students and you kind of have it planned ahead of time. Then you would just make your groups. You would come in here and adjust your enrollment methods, and then you would just have them come in and they would depending on which enrollment key they used, they would automatically be put into that group. So that's an option too if you wish to use that. So anyways, hopefully that helps you at least get started with the whole idea of groups within your Moodle course.